Welcome back to From the Poles to the Equator. Our planet is a tapestry of interconnected life. Yet, this delicate balance is being disrupted. Climate change, driven by human activities, is impacting the Earth in countless ways, altering ecosystems and disrupting the lives of countless animal species. Today, we're delving into 7 powerful case studies of animals struggling to adapt to these rapid changes. These stories offer a glimpse into the challenges faced by wildlife across the globe and underscore the urgent need for conservation. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment on our channel if you want more in-depth explorations of the world's pressing issues. Now let's start from number 7, moving to the most dramatic example of climate impact on animals. In the heart of North America's boreal forest, the snowshoe hare has perfected the art of camouflage. As the seasons turn, so too does the hare's coat, transitioning from earthy browns in the summer to a pristine white in winter. This remarkable adaptation allows them to blend seamlessly with their surroundings, evading the watchful eyes of predators like lynx, foxes, and owls. But this delicate dance of survival is being disrupted by a warming world. Climate change is causing snow to melt earlier in the spring, creating a mismatch between the hare's white coat and the now exposed brown landscape. This makes them glaringly obvious to predators, leaving them vulnerable and exposed. Imagine for a moment being so exquisitely adapted to your environment, only to have that very adaptation become a liability. This is the reality for the snowshoe hare, a stark reminder that even the most subtle shifts in climate can have profound consequences. The hare's plight is a poignant example of how climate change can disrupt the delicate balance of nature, turning an advantage into a disadvantage. The decline in snowshoe hare populations has cascading effects throughout the food chain, impacting predators that rely on them for sustenance. The story of the snowshoe hare serves as a potent symbol of the interconnectedness of ecosystems and the far-reaching impacts of climate change. In the savannas of southern Africa, where the sun beats down with relentless intensity, water is the lifeblood of the ecosystem. Few animals are as dependent on this precious resource as the African elephant. These giants require vast quantities of water each day to survive. But climate change is intensifying the dry season, pushing this delicate balance to the brink. Water holes are drying up more frequently, forcing elephants to travel further in search of hydration. This desperate search for water leads to increased competition with other species and heightened conflict with humans. Imagine the plight of these gentle giants, their immense size now a burden as they struggle to find enough water. As keystone species, their decline has ripple effects throughout the entire ecosystem. The story of the African elephant is a stark reminder that climate change is not just an environmental issue, it's a humanitarian one as well. Every year, millions of monarch butterflies embark on an extraordinary journey, a multi-generational migration spanning thousands of miles from Canada to Mexico. This epic voyage is a testament to the power of instinct and the interconnectedness of nature. Guided by environmental cues and specific temperatures, these delicate creatures navigate their way across continents, their arrival a celebrated event in the forests of Mexico. But this ancient rhythm of nature is being disrupted by the impacts of climate change. Extreme weather events along their migratory route, such as droughts, heat waves, and storms, are becoming more frequent and intense, leading to reduced survival rates. Imagine the plight of these fragile creatures, caught in the crosshairs of a changing climate. The very cues they rely on for navigation are becoming unreliable, their once predictable world now a maze of uncertainty. And as if the challenges of migration weren't enough, climate change is also impacting the availability of milkweed, the monarch's sole food source during its caterpillar stage. Droughts and heat waves are causing milkweed plants to wither and die, leaving monarch caterpillars with dwindling food supplies. The monarch butterfly's struggle is a poignant reminder that climate change is not just about rising temperatures, it's about disrupting the delicate balance of nature that sustains life on Earth. Chapter 4, Coral Reefs in Crisis, a silent world fades away. Beneath the surface of our oceans lies a world of vibrant color and astonishing biodiversity, coral reefs. These underwater cities, built by tiny animals called coral polyps, provide food and shelter for a quarter of all marine species. But these delicate ecosystems are on the front lines of climate change, facing a threat that could silence their vibrant world forever. As our oceans absorb more carbon dioxide, the water becomes more acidic. This makes it difficult for coral polyps to build their skeletons, weakening the reef. Imagine a city slowly crumbling, its once bustling streets falling into disrepair. This is the reality for coral reefs facing ocean acidification. Rising sea temperatures are pushing corals beyond their limits, leading to coral bleaching. Stressed corals expel the algae within their tissues, turning white and losing their primary source of food. Without these algae, corals are more susceptible to disease and death. The decline of coral reefs has dire consequences for countless marine species. The loss of coral reefs is not just an ecological tragedy, it's an economic one as well. In the vast, icy wilderness of Antarctica, Adelie penguins have carved out a remarkable existence. These tuxedo-clad birds depend on the continent's sea ice for their survival, using it as a platform to hunt, breed, and raise their young. But as our planet warms, the very foundation of their world is melting away, threatening their way of life. Adelie penguins rely on krill, tiny crustaceans that thrive in the cold, nutrient-rich waters beneath the sea ice. But as temperatures rise and the ice retreats, krill populations are declining, leaving penguins with dwindling food supplies. Imagine the plight of these dedicated parents, forced to travel further and further in search of food for their chicks, only to return with empty bellies. The chicks, already vulnerable in the harsh Antarctic environment, face starvation and death. And as if the challenges of finding food weren't enough, Adelie penguins are also facing the loss of their nesting grounds. Rising temperatures and melting ice are causing sea levels to rise, inundating their nests and threatening their eggs and chicks. Some colonies have already been forced to relocate to higher ground, but suitable nesting sites are becoming increasingly scarce. The plight of the Adelie penguin is a stark reminder that climate change is not just a distant threat, it's already having a profound impact on wildlife in some of the most remote and pristine environments on Earth. Few animals are as symbolic of the Arctic as the polar bear. These majestic creatures, perfectly adapted to a life on ice and snow, are facing an uncertain future as their frozen world melts away. Polar bears rely on sea ice as a platform to hunt seals, their primary source of food. But as temperatures rise, the ice is melting earlier in the spring and freezing later in the fall, shortening the bears' hunting season. Imagine the plight of these powerful predators, their energy reserves dwindling as they're forced to spend longer periods on land, where food is scarce. This prolonged fasting takes a toll on their bodies, particularly on pregnant females and young cubs, making them more susceptible to disease and starvation. As the ice retreats further from the shore, polar bears are forced to swim longer distances to reach their hunting grounds. These marathon swims, while within their capabilities, are energetically costly and can be fatal, especially for young cubs. And as their icy habitat shrinks, polar bears are increasingly coming into contact with humans, leading to conflicts as bears venture into communities in search of food. In the eucalyptus forests of Australia, koalas live a life of specialized adaptation. These iconic marsupials feed exclusively on eucalyptus leaves, their digestive systems uniquely adapted to break down the tough, toxic foliage. But this intimate relationship with a single food source makes them particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. As temperatures rise and droughts become more frequent and severe, eucalyptus trees are suffering. They're producing fewer leaves, and the leaves they do produce have lower nutritional content and higher concentrations of toxins, making them less palatable and even harmful to koalas. Imagine the plight of these gentle creatures, their specialized diet now working against them as their only food source withers and dies. But the threats to koalas don't end there. Climate change is also increasing the frequency and intensity of bushfires, which are a natural part of the Australian landscape, but are becoming more destructive in a warmer, drier world. The devastating bushfires that ravaged Australia in 2019 to 2020, fueled by record-breaking temperatures and prolonged droughts, serve as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of climate change. These fires burned through millions of hectares of koala habitat, killing an estimated 60,000 koalas and pushing the species closer to the brink. As we've journeyed across the globe, witnessing the plight of these animals, one message rings clear. Climate change is not just an environmental issue, it's a global crisis that threatens the very fabric of life on Earth. These stories reveal how interconnected climate change impacts are, affecting individual species, ecosystems, and ultimately human communities as well. Understanding the plight of these animals reminds us of the urgency to mitigate climate change and protect biodiversity. For those of you passionate about wildlife, stay tuned to. We'll soon be exploring. Don't miss it.